The next topic we're going to discuss is bowel obstruction, sometimes called intestinal obstruction. So this could be either a functional or a mechanical malfunction. The functional ones happen because of electrolyte disturbances, narcotic use. This is also where the paralytic ileus comes into play here, and this could be post-surgical patients too who have been given narcotics can cause a slow bowels, and electrolyte disturbances would be low potassium. So these things interfere with the conduction and the contractions of the bowels. And we can call that a pseudo obstruction because it's not actually blocked off, it's just not moving anywhere. The next one is mechanical reasons for bowel obstructions. You have adhesions or hernias, tumors or cancer, a volvulus, which is a twisting of the bowel, intussusception, which is telescoping, impacted feces, or barium usage. So let's go back up to volvulus. Remember that one is a twisting like a vortex. Intussusception is a telescoping, and it has a T in the beginning of that word, near the beginning. So T for telescope, and intussusception, it telescopes in upon itself. Now let's move on at our signs and symptoms. The first one the patient will have is nausea and vomiting. And it'll either be green for bowel or brown for feces. They'll have abdominal distension, and that is from accumulating intestinal fluid or third spacing fluid. The accumulation of that fluid leads to vomiting, and that is a result of reverse peristalsis. So if the fluid can't move down like it's supposed to, it's going to create a backwards flow, and all the intestines will start to push fluid up and out, so that's when you'll have the vomiting. Now remember that the vomit can be green or it can be brown. Brown is indicator of stool that is accumulated into the GI tract that is being reverse peristalsis and coming out as vomiting. So when we listen with our stethoscope, the patient will have no bowel sounds with the functional one, and then they'll have high-pitched bowel sounds with a mechanical blockage. Now let's move back up to the abdominal distension, which causes cramping and abdominal pain. However, if the abdominal pain is consistent and sustained, and they have the abdominal distension and no bowel sounds, we can assume that some sort of perforation has happened and they're going to develop peritonitis. Now the vital signs will be a high heart rate, a high respiratory rate, and then they may show signs of hypovolemic shock, and they'll also have a low blood pressure. Now let's continue and look at our diagnostic tests, which include a KUB, barium enema, BMP will show low electrolytes, so that's going to be low sodium, low chloride, and low potassium. With the CBC, we'll see a high white blood cell count and a high hematocrit, especially if they're dehydrated and those cells are concentrated in the hematocrit test. Metabolic alkalosis is the next thing we're going to see on lab work because the patient is vomiting very much and losing a lot of fluid through the GI tract, which loses hydrogen ions, so therefore we'll see metabolic alkalosis, acid-base imbalance. So next we'll look at our orders. We need to keep our patient NPO, apply an NG tube to suction, and that is for intestinal decompression, and they may also need a colonoscopy to decompress the intestines. They'll also need IV fluids to replace the hypovolemia or dehydration. Antibiotics will help by killing all bacteria present that produces carbon dioxide that increases the swelling in the bowels. They also need to be prepared for surgery in case of perforation or necrotic bowel, and they may end up with an ostomy. So now for nursing care, we need to make sure we manage the patient's pain level, and we also need to keep good I&Os. The IV must be patent, IV fluids given, and output. The NG tube output needs to be measured and taken into account. document the color, consistency, amount, maintain the NG2 patency, and it needs to be on low intermittent suction, and make sure you don't pull off too much fluid at one time, and also have the patient prepared for any scopes or surgeries that may be impending. Also, we need to make sure we sit the patient upright so that it's easier for them to breathe with abdominal swelling, and we want to prevent the aspiration. Then lastly, you want to watch for complications like perforation, and then that would lead to peritonitis. So we need to make sure we monitor the patient's vital signs and symptoms of that. If the patient complains of sustained abdominal pain, starts to develop a fever, and then also has the low blood pressure and high heart rate, we can assume that the patient has an indication of a perforation and needs emergency assistance to notify the physician.